it's just after 6:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. First off, I want to say welcome. This is our first community forum that we're going to have with you guys. My name is Justin Durham. I'm with an architecture team called Hollis & Miller. We have a few of our friends over here with Marissa and Charlie Bell. And then we also teamed with Bond Architects. It's right here in the St. Louis area. And we have Rebecca and Tanner with us tonight. So this is a process that we're going to walk you guys through. We're going to try to stick to an hour. It's a lot of content, so I may go a little bit quickly. If you have questions or comments, or you want to say anything, please raise your hand or stop me. I don't mind. This is what we're here for, is to get feedback from you guys. So we're going to leave this kind of as an informal forum. Okay, so we want your guys' feedback. But as we go, why are we here tonight? So we're looking at potentially doing a levy increase as a school district to pay for some future improvements that we would like to do. So we are here tonight to talk to you guys about what we've heard so far. So we do have a digital survey that is live, that's out there. You'll see a QR code tonight. It's also going to be in the Nest. So when you guys get your copy of the Nest, flip through that, you'll see a QR code with a nice page of information on it about this process. And we would love to have you guys take that, and I'll show you what the feedback looks like here in just a few minutes. School renovation concepts. So we were hired just after Memorial Day. This is a process that usually takes us about a year to complete from start to finish. We're doing it in about 12 weeks. So we're kind of hitting the fast forward button. So literally right after we were notified that we won the interview, that we were going to be part of this process, we had our teams come down, do walkthroughs and assessments of all the buildings that you guys will see today. And that is through the lens of an architect and through an engineer. So these are kind of like things that we typically look for to make sure the buildings are in good shape, they're well taken care of, the maintenance is being done. And you'll see some things tonight that you use some improvements, but overall I will tell you the guys' buildings are in great shape. So we're gonna go over some of those, and then we're gonna show you guys some of the information that we have started to talk about as what we call priorities. So we're gonna go through a 5-step process, and I'll walk you through that in a second. But some of the things that we've already heard back from building leadership, district leadership, the community forum, or the community feedback that we did on the survey, we've already gotten a lot of feedback, almost 300 responses to our survey thus far. So really good measure of what we're doing. We hope we can double, triple, quadruple that number by the time we're done. The more information that we have, the better data that we have, and then the more information we can bring to you when we do these types of meetings and these presentations. So if you know somebody out there, please make sure you tell them to please take the survey and give us their honest opinion and their feedback. So you'll see some of those concepts tonight. Guys, they're going to be very, very high level. We have just started this process. I will tell you that as we work through this, you're going to see a lot of things that may or may not happen when we implement the plan. There's no school district that we've ever worked with that can afford to do everything they want to do and everything that they need to do, right? So we're going to have to prioritize and probably make some concessions as we go. That just means it's going to go on a list, and we're going to make sure that we work through that list methodically from all the feedback that you've given us, and we'll try to chip away at that as time goes, right? So here's our team. We do have our school district representations here too. So we have our superintendent, we have Clay somewhere here in the front row, and then we have Melissa, and I know Patrick is here, and we're on video, so you guys make sure you speak up so everybody can hear. So let's go into the surveys real quick. We have a team of researchers at Hollis & Miller that help put together surveys that ask very specific questions in very specific ways so that we get data sets back, we get good answers back when we start to group those. I will say, if you haven't taken the survey yet and you would like to, this is the QR code. That's what's going to be in the Nest. So you take that, just like Jeannie's doing here. You take it with your picture, then you do your QR code. And it takes about 5 to 7 minutes to get through all the questions. It won't take a lot of time. And there are spaces in there for you guys to give feedback. So you can literally type out sentences of what you want to tell us, what you want us to hear. So that's some of the best feedback. So make sure you do that if you can. So right now, we have had, I think it's about 300 different responses, and here's how those are coming out. So the dark blue is our parent group. We've got about 11% community members. We have parents and employees, and down here we have district employees. So we think that the community members are going to go way up once the Nest becomes available. It starts landing in mailboxes here soon. So we're going to welcome that different perspective as it goes. And then we also are tracking it by building response. So whether you're a parent, a student, you work at the high school is our biggest school, right? So they usually have the most response. We're 39% at the high school, 18% at the primary, 11 at the elementary. 10% of our responses came from the junior high, 10 from the intermediate, 9 from the early childhood, and 2% from the learning center. So you can see how the responses start to break down as well. So this is all information that once the survey is done and closed, we will button all of this up, and then the district will get a full copy of all the responses, all the feedback, everything, so we have all that data to make the best informed decisions that we can as we move forward through the process. Really what this is about is gaining your guys' trust, hearing your voices, and then making sure that we're taking actionable feedback on the stuff that you provide to us. So the survey kind of breakdown looks like this. We asked one of the questions is district strengths. And so you can see here, and I know it's hard to read, so I'll read a few of the top ones, and then we're going to go over the top 3. But the ones at the top, the green lines, district employees and parents. You can see our teachers, administrators, and staff, welcoming environment, and access for technology are some of the strengths that people have noted throughout the district. On the next slide, we put that last group into one subset. So these are district employees and parents. And then we start to look at what the community members say independently, right? They're a very important voice. But unlike our employees and parents, they don't get to spend every day in the facilities most of the time. They're the community members that drive by, they see things, they know when things are going on because there's lots of cars in the parking lot. So we take them and we want to make sure that we're listening to them and their feedback as well. So their highest priority are, that we think we have the district strength, is career and technical opportunities, right? They love that about Hillsboro. So here we just broke it down into the 3. When you talk to the community, it's high quality staff, college and career readiness, and then that technical opportunities that the district provides. And then the staff is our welcoming environment, our high quality teachers, the variety of courses and programs, and great access to technology. So those are kind of the things that floated to the top thus far as we've gotten our feedback. Now we did it also for opportunities, right? These are the things that we could probably try to focus on and do a little bit better. So again, we broke it down to district employees and parents. We combined those and then broke out the community members as well. And what this looks like is for our district opportunities is a state, they would like to see more safety and community members to parents, so safety and security, maybe a little bit better student-to-teacher ratio, staff and parents, high-quality facilities, student assessment results, and then career and technical opportunities. So you'll notice one of the fun things that we saw here is on the last one, we got a lot of responses that the CTE opportunities were a strength. But then as we move down and we look at an opportunity, that also flows to the top of maybe we need to relook at what those are. So this is where the comments are going to come in. When we hear 2 different sets of data, one shows up as a strength and one shows up as an opportunity, something that we should focus on, that's when the comments that you guys can give us are so important. Because why is one group saying that it's a great asset and we do a really good job at it, and then another group is saying, well, we can improve on it. So that's what I mean by sometimes when you type in those responses for us, that's where the feedback comes in really handy for us so that we can start to differentiate what that means, right? And so which school facilities, amenities, or community resources would provide you and your family an opportunity? So some of the questions that we've heard right now is a community fitness and a wellness center. That would be great for the community. That would be an asset that the district could build or provide. The students could use it, but then maybe open it up at night and have it be a benefit to the community. An indoor walking track, something that we heard. Expanded recreational opportunities, athletics, sports, those types of things. And then public access to those athletic fields during designated times, right? So letting the public use those for Little League practices, games, things on the weekends, whatever that might be. Those were the big feedbacks that we got from the group on some of those comments of what we could provide to the community as the school district that would be a benefit to us. So do you guys agree with that? Do you guys feel that that's kind of on the right track? Is that something that you would like to see, or do you guys have something else in mind? Go ahead.
For the community fitness and wellness facilities, are you talking, is that also incorporating like an actual weight room with free weights and things like that? Because we've really noticed that with transitioning to the junior high. Thanks to Dr. Murphy for letting us move over there for summer activities.
Yep.
Like having those 2 huge rooms over there, they're big wellness multi-purpose rooms, like our numbers have been really good this summer because the girls and the guys can get in there they can kind of separate. We have 2 to 3 kids to a rack, they get more weights in, they get done in a timely manner. It's not taking an hour and 15 minutes to get through a 45-minute workout because you got 4 or 5 kids to a rack.
Yeah.
Like, it's just been amazing having 10 racks in each room. I mean,
Yeah.
we get a lot of movement in that hour
Yeah.
that we're in there. Volleyball, soccer, softball are all in
Yep.
there at the same time.
Yep.
So
And
is that including, when you say community center and wellness, I just kind of want to make sure, is that incorporated, like a weight room?
Yeah, a weight room is
Weights.
something specific that we have heard, not only from some of the staff conversations that we've had, but
Yeah.
also on some of the community comments that we've gotten
Okay.
to. So weights are a big deal, especially at the high school.
Absolutely.
Sounds like the high school might be a little bit underserved in terms of what they would like to have. So that's a comment that we've heard too.
And just as one of the high school counselors, like, we've already done schedules for the fall, and there's kids that we're over max in our strength and conditioning
Yeah.
classes. We don't have enough space, safety-wise, to get more kids, so when they come in and get their schedules, they're gonna wanna know why they're not in strength and conditioning. We don't have the room.
Right.
So we can't get them in there, and it was just random how technology loaded it.
Mhm.
That's the easiest way that we can do it, because you can't discriminate against this person or this person.
Right.
So they random loaded, and then that's how
You
that
maxed it
happens.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, so we just have to turn them away until somebody drops and there's an opening.
sure.
So, it's just, it's a problem that we have to figure out
Yeah, understood.
sooner than later.
Understood. Yes. That's a great comment. Anybody else have any comments, thoughts, ideas from what you saw from the survey? I know I went through it quick. There's just a lot to do. And I will tell you that we are happy to stay as late as Clay and John will allow us to stay, to talk to people individually if you would like, and kind of recover some things. I know I used to be like this. I don't like speaking in a public forum, so I get it. So if you want to come up and have one-on-one conversations, we are more than welcome to do that too. Just, we'll meet you after the meeting. So, great comment. Anybody else before we move on? Okay. Now I'm going to have Marissa, who did a lot of our physical assessments, that's walking the buildings, looking at them. She's going to run us through some of the stuff that they found as architects and engineers when they walked the buildings of the district.
Yeah, so hi everybody, I'm Marissa Carroll. As Justin had said, both us and the bonds team got a chance to walk through your facilities. And before we get into kind of what we found, the first thing I'd like to say is your facilities are really well maintained. That's not something we get to say all the time. We can tell that your district really takes pride in their facilities. So everything that you're going to see, most of what we observed was just kind of the natural systems and buildings reaching the end of their life cycle. And then some things where if you have some of the older facilities, there's been code changes since then. So those are the kind of items that we have found, really just things towards the end of their life cycle. So first we're going to start with some district-wide needs that we have found. So across all of the different facilities, an accessible routes to the track and field from the intermediate school and elementary school, that's really a need to be able to get people safely down to the stands and to the track and field so that it is accessible to all who want to use that field. Generally, athletic improvements in general. We've heard a lot of different things like the weight room that we just heard about. Pavement and road replacements, a lot of parking lots that could use some new pavement and some new road connections. And then there's some electrical infrastructural needs that we won't get too deeply into, but just areas that would be great to be upgraded or synced across the district. So we'll get into each individual facility. Again, these are just kind of our high-level observations. And as we look at each of these, as Justin had mentioned, we will have a very simple high-level diagram of some of the targeted areas for each of these facilities. So at our primary school, really the playground is a higher need. Some of the equipment is not exactly age appropriate for all of the students and could really use some better accessible surfacing. So that's an area of need. I think we've also seen potentially some fencing where some of the kiddos play. Some electrical items and panel replacements. Some of the electrical panels are original to the building, so those are just at the end of their life cycle and need to be replaced. As we said, paving, repair, and replacement. And then really the biggest need within the building itself is really just the restroom renovations and flooring replacements. You can see some of the restrooms there that are just a little bit older, but overall this facility is really in great condition. And so these are just some of the areas that we're targeting as priorities: playgrounds and surfacing, the parking lot, and some of the restrooms. Over at the elementary, site security and outdoor improvements is one of our top priorities. Could use a little bit more cameras, and just some of the handrails and guardrails are not quite up to speed. There's an open stair that could use a little fence. So some of those kinds of improvements, as well as some soffits that need repairing. The cafeteria is a little bit undersized, and another item that is going to be true across all of your facilities is none of them currently have a dedicated high wind shelter. Now, under our newer codes, we are required to provide a high wind shelter at every educational facility. And so what that means is any addition that happens at any of your school facilities will be required to be a high wind shelter until you can fit the whole school in it. So if we, for example, have a new gym, you can usually fit the whole school in that. That's your only high wind shelter. If you have a couple of smaller additions, they each need to be a high wind shelter until you can fit the whole school in. So at the elementary school, because the cafeteria is a bit undersized, if that were to be expanded, then that would be a storm shelter. And then finally, just some rooftop units and boilers need to be replaced. Again, some of them are quite old, and so they're just at the end of their natural life cycle. And so you can kind of see some of our targeted areas where we'll need some replacements. Over at the junior high, there's some cafeteria upgrades that are needed, some self-serve stations for the students to be able to move through the cafeteria a little bit quicker during lunchtime, as well as some enhanced security and glazing. So just a few things right towards the entry that improve the security for the students are just some needs that we have heard. We've got a site stair that some of the little gophers are hanging out in. We need to replace that. A few mechanical and electrical needs. Again, older panels and rooftop units getting towards the end of their life cycle. Restroom renovations. You can see some of the flooring is a little bit old, and as well as some of the other components. And band casework and storage. Could really use some new band casework. So here, we'll be showing the restrooms being renovated, that site stair, and then this region in general with the cafeteria and the band rooms. Over at the intermediate school, the south gym is in okay condition, but really has a lot of wear and tear. So potentially demolishing that and building a larger gym that also is a storm shelter. That area also has some accessibility concerns that could be addressed with that addition to be able to get students out of that portion of the building out to grade, because currently they are unable to do that. Track replacement and accessible path down to the track, that's a priority. Some additional student and staff restrooms, especially that 6th grade wing. There's just not enough restrooms there for everybody, so that's really a need, and as well as accessible restrooms, and then rooftop unit replacements. And so we can see that's an example of what the south gym expanded could be like, and then we're not saying it's exactly going to go there, but a rough block of how much we'll need for additional restrooms for the staff and for the students. And so this is just an example of the types of ramps that we would need for the accessible route to the track. You can see the connection from the intermediate school to get us down to the north stands there, and then our accessible switchback ramp down here at the elementary school. Okay. Over at the high school, our top need, we believe, is the secure entry and admin suite. I think we've already talked a little bit about that, but currently you can walk into the center area, so that's something we would like to address. A storm shelter addition, and our thought is that this could be comprised of a gym, possibly a weight room, indoor walking track, locker rooms, maybe indoor batting cages, really just an athletic addition and component that also doubles as a storm shelter. Track and field upgrades, we'll get a little bit into that here in a minute. A performing arts center, right now there's just really not enough space for them to put on a lot of performances, as well as just other assembly needs. Right now, if the auditorium is being used at the high school, it is being used for a play for a long time, and then nobody else can really get in there as well. So having a second assembly space would be helpful. And parking, we always need more parking. So this is a high-level diagram of where some of these additions might go. So right now we're showing the gym and related weight room, locker rooms adjacent to your current gym. So it's really an athletic wing of the building and is very close to the track and fields. And then down here on the south end would be the new Performing Arts Center and admin suite with secure entry. So allowing for even potential community, use and theater back of house for performances, so that it's right by the parking lots and you don't have to go through the entirety of the school for after hours performances. Looking over at the track and field, a need that we've heard is changing to artificial turf for the baseball field, as well as some new spectator stands. So that's something we've heard that is needed. Also potential for some new stands in a field house and concession stand. We're showing a concession stand over on this side, but possibly another one over by the baseball field could be a need as well. So just some different ideas on how we can improve the track and field area.
Does that have any consideration for like accessible parking as well?
Yes.
Because I know that there's accessible parking up there, but my husband's mom walks with a cane. And
Okay.
it takes her about 25 minutes to get down to the ball field.
I believe it. That is actually next slide.
Perfect.
Yes, that was perfect, thank you, and she's not a plant. So we've talked about also that there might be some need for some different road connections. On a master plan, high level, and again, this is very early, we've looked at some road connections to the high school, connecting to the primary school, and then also a road connection down to the barn. But to touch on your question specifically, when looking at expanding the road around a new addition, we also notice that there's no accessible parking right by the fields. And so right now we're showing an area for parking up there. And possibly, if we need one over on this side, we could look at some parking over there. But the goal is to bring accessible parking to the fields and to the stands so that people aren't having to walk 25 minutes with a cane. That is too far. Also looking at some pavement improvements for parking, and again, just connecting these different facilities in a master plan form so that the district is able to grow in a planned manner. And then finally, the barn. Oh, yes.
On the parking, we had talked about, if you go back to that slide.
Yeah.
Just some history and opportunities is this area right here. Little known district fact about, I don't know how many years ago it was, 2 years ago, received a phone call and they asked if we wanted to buy it. And I said no, we bought enough at that time. But I also serve on the Civic Club board. The Civic Club has purchased this property. But we have a great relationship with the Civic Club, and one of the things, like with the fair we have going on, for parking, etc. So I feel confident saying, even as we're doing some of this, if you see, because we talked about there needs to be parking at the primary. Back here is putting a road in. There's an opportunity. This right here is pretty close to Civic Club property, where the district at that time could purchase, even if there was parking and roads there, because it's the Civic Club benefits from that as well, right? They need that parking and infrastructure, which potentially, it's not on here, but to your question on baseball is, there is potentially even the option of connecting from there and put parking closer to there. It's tight drawn in there, it's not necessarily, the district doesn't necessarily own that, so it's not included in that, but those are opportunities that have been discussed with the Civic Club and that being there. So that's where this road comes in. So you see some of this, that's some of the history and background of
Thank you, and it really creates a great opportunity for us to start to connect all of the different sites where we don't have to get out onto busy roads as students. Connectivity between the sites for parents that may need to drop somebody off at one school and then need to go to the other, or drop another one off. You don't have to get back out on the busier roads, it's an easy connectivity piece. So this starts to make a lot of sense from like a planner, safety kind of aspect in terms of how we connect it. Super safe site, kids leave, they go down to the barn for their classes. Like very easy road, they don't have to get back out onto the highway and make their trips down. Yeah, go ahead.
which would also eliminate, if you live in the subdivision back there, closing the gate. Because we'd have another egress going across the farm, so then we would not exit through the subdivision.
So that would actually be 3, right? The one by the Civic Center, the one
Yes.
there, and the one there?
Yes.
That'd be nice.
So now we'll look at the barn's priorities. So a few things you notice is that they also could use a secure entry. We hear that you guys like to host a lot of community events at the barn. There's just really not enough restrooms, and a concession stand would be nice. So that could give us an opportunity to host more events at the barn. They also need new classrooms. The interest in the barns, or in the program, is really increased, so more students and more space for students is needed, as well as a dedicated wood shop and welding, and ideally we'd get that away from the animals. There needs to be some thermal comfort updates, just so everybody feels comfortable in the classroom spaces. And because it is an old and historic structure, there are just some structural and exterior small envelope items that just need remediation, which is typical for a facility of this age. And so because the barn is a historic facility, something we talked a lot about is that, it doesn't feel appropriate to try to tack something onto it, right? So what we're showing here is changing some of the existing classrooms into a community restroom and concession portion of the building, so that that is a community area, and then potentially looking at an additional structure that houses the new classrooms with secure entry, as well as a wood shop and a welding lab. So I know that was a lot to go through.
Yeah, let's pause, and if you guys have any thoughts, comments,
Yes.
questions, now's the time to throw those out to Marissa and myself. Did you like what you saw? Are we on the right track? Those are some of the things we're gonna ask you next.
We're talking about replacing electrical panels, air handlers, that kind of stuff. Is there any discussion or talk about consolidation of buildings? So building a new building versus putting additions onto all the other, and renovations to the other schools?
I mean, that's a conversation we probably need to have. Right now, the bones of your buildings are pretty good. So the best square footage that you can renovate is the square footage that you already have. It's gonna be cheaper. Right now, the enrollment that we've seen doesn't really lead us to believe that you need a lot of additional space or new buildings. I think we can accomplish a lot of what we want now with the infrastructure that we have, with the square footage that we have.
But are you taking into account like the O&M costs for?
Yeah, like the
maintaining that
payback, like how much is it
separate
maintaining a new building versus a 50-year-old building? Yeah, those are things that we will look at for sure. Yep, absolutely.
What else
That's a
was
good
there? Was there any of the priorities that we showed that you didn't think were as big of a priority for you, or anything that you think we totally missed? Because obviously we aren't as familiar with the operational aspects of the facilities. We're really looking at what we can physically see.
So did,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
so when
when you were coming up with this, all this was developed before the survey went out, right? So will that maybe change once we get
Yeah.
the feedback from the community?
That's
And
very
then-
possible,
So
yeah.
like, this isn't like, say, set in stone or whatever, it can easily be,
Yeah, a lot of what you're seeing is just from the first like 280 to 300 responses that I told you, and then some of the feedback we got via district leadership and the conversations they've had with principals, parents. You know, I know there's been lots of conversations that have been had today. So these are the priorities as we sit today. They could change, yeah. If we get a whole flood of comments from people about like a singular topic, that needs to elevate to the top or higher down the priority list, right? So yes, this could look quite a bit different when we come back and talk to you guys in August or September, right? Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good pickup.
But the survey can continue to influence what items we get, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if we're on the right track and we continue to hear roads are important, additions, if the entire softball team rallies the entire community and says, we need that. I know where you're going, I know where you're going. So if that's what happens, yes, yes.
Baseball.
Yeah, I know where you're going, so absolutely,
We
absolutely.
did like 40 new surveys tonight, you know.
Yeah.
Send us that
Let's
email.
not follow the when I leave here.
Yeah, do it,
So, okay, so that's good to know too.
yes.
But also, just to be clear, your elected leaders, your school board, and your district leaders are the decision makers. You know, we're providing the information, right? So please don't misunderstand what we're trying to share. Your elected leaders and your superintendent, your assistant superintendent, and your staff are the decision makers. We're providing info.
Yeah.
That's good, that's good.
Questions?
Okay, so we're gonna put you guys on the spot a little bit, and we're gonna go ahead and ask you some of the questions that are on the survey when you take it, or if you've taken it. So really what we wanna hear from you guys, and just be as candid as you can be with us, because we really wanna know. And you saw some of the things that relate to the survey, that's kind of why I went over at high level. I didn't wanna kind of skew you guys one way or another to say, oh, whatever they said is great, right? We really wanna hear your feedback. So let's start with, tell us things that you feel work well right now, that you love when you drive by the buildings, the things that work well, and Charlie's gonna take some notes for us. Things that when you're in the buildings, I love the classrooms because of this. I love the way that this works. Whatever it could be, we just kind of want to hear your feedback in terms of what works well in your eyes now. Anything come to mind? I'm okay with like uncomfortable silence, so we can hang out for a minute, it's fine. Anything? Nothing works well?
I like what they did at the intermediate school, what they did when you are buzzed in, you can't leave that area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, you
Yeah.
cannot get out of that whole area unless
Yeah.
somebody opens the
and what
door.
we call that is the guided secure entry, so you
Yeah.
can come in, you can get
Yeah.
access, but until you've been checked in and vetted out,
Yeah.
they won't buzz you into the building. Those, yeah, that is the
Like
best
that
way to
at all.
do that, yeah,
That's the elementary too.
yeah.
Every
Is ag-
building
yeah.
has that, with the exception of ours.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
primary does too.
Yeah, high school, you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just haven't had a kid in those buildings.
You're getting there.
This could be anything, guys. It could be, I'm super proud of the football team because, right? It doesn't necessarily have to do with doors and door hardware and windows and things like that. It's just community-wide, right? So kind of think big picture. Yeah.
Well, speaking on what you just said, I think our community involvement, like our community has, like our school, it supports our school, like from our farm to like the civic center to, you know, everything. I mean, we have a lot of kids doing a lot of things. Yeah, activities, and I'm not speaking just from a sports standpoint, but like our ag, our FFA, our trades, I know you mentioned that, like you had some area technical school stuff, like we have a lot to do with trades, the fire department, and just how everything's kind of wrapped up community-wise.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a huge, it's a great opportunity for a small town like this.
Yeah,
So if we can just
100%.
get them behind us to support this, I think it would be a great way
Yeah.
to keep moving us forward,
Yeah,
so.
great.
That was basically what I was going to say. What works well is when the staff or whoever sees a need for the students, they find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
We have kids who want to go into culinary arts, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Kids want to go into agriculture, let's make it happen. Or I think in the case of the farm, They made it happen, then the kids came. It
Yeah.
was the Field of Dreams thing.
But we partnered with a lot of people.
Right.
Through the farm and through our trades.
I've heard a lot of positive things about the farm, even as far as Silver Dollar City in Branson has heard about our farm and our program. And some of the people who work there said, if I'd have had that kind of program in high school, I wouldn't have had to wait till college or
For sure.
career to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that works. When there's a need, we find a way to make it happen.
And I think this is just exemplifying that to a larger level,
Mhm.
right? The levy and the funds that those could bring. We're trying to accentuate the positive impact that this could have, not only for students of today, but the students of the future, and then the support of the community in itself. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's important to highlight too, what are other districts doing in our community, around us,
Yeah.
statewide?
Yeah.
It's not that, at a time when these facilities were made new, that was the up and coming,
Sure.
and so it's important that we have a product out there that, let alone the real estate or the opportunities in our community, but, there's gonna be facilities that sometimes sell your district.
100%. We've actually talked about it a few times in our meetings, is what can we do now that as people are looking for a new home, a place to move to, what can we do to make them say, I want to live in Hillsboro? Like, what can we do to draw those new community members here, to increase our enrollment numbers, to take advantage of the programs that we can provide? We talked about that quite a bit. Yeah, that's a great comment.
One of the things I think that works well, and it's a gift, is campus, Clay Creek, 238 acres. Campus is 238 acres. That's like a universe. Right, so even like when we talk about the placement of the office or consolidating buildings, one of the challenges that Hillsborough is going to have 20 years from now is when it's more populated, is where do you put a Seckman High School to your Fox when Hillsborough High School is right in the middle, right? So there's really no place to put it. And even thought about that when we sold the Highway 8 property, that was 2 miles out, is when you talk about costs, and you mentioned that, just bus transportation each day, as you're paying for their salary and gas. And so when I say what works well is our acreage. But the key thing that I keep coming back to in our thought process is we have to be very strategic where we put buildings, because when you have space, you're like, oh, just put it here. But then as you grow, you literally have to be thinking 10 years from now of, like, put the office here, because the new academic wing will be here. Thus, the student parking lot, why we haven't fixed that is in time, but it's also like, if we're repaving that, and then next year, digging it up. And so,
Good luck after that.
no, we have to make some decisions on that. So I guess my point to that is, works well, it draws people here, and it'll look like this 100 years from now, but the challenge is maintaining it. Where do you put the road? The initial drawing, especially people that they weren't from the community, the initial road, was like right down the middle of the pond. I'm like, hold up, but I'm like, we gotta get that behind the fence. And there's a little bit more cost to that in doing it, but as a community, it's working through all of those little nuances, and it's important that we do work through those nuances.
Sure. Anybody else on what works well? Okay, let's move on to, what changes would you like to see made? So things that, I see a smile. Things that maybe you're okay, but could be better, right? We know safety and security, the security at the high school. Yes.
So I put two boys through, and every time we talk about the baseball field, the only thing I can think about is baseball. That's all I think about. But now I have a 12-year-old who is very strong in softball. So now it's like, okay, I thought that I was going to be done with that in like 3 years after the two boys already graduated, got another one. But now we have a girl who's playing softball. So we go to all these places in our county, and their fields are gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous. And then we come back here and we're like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's kind of the
And
same.
we can't even, sometimes we can't get people to come here to play against us because of our facilities.
Well, we're told they won't vote for us to host districts because they don't want to play on our field. I mean, it's a disadvantage to play on a natural field when they all have turf.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So,
Sure.
I mean, you can ask Mr. Saharsky, Matt and I've been told, like, we won't vote for you to host districts, so we automatically lose home field advantage in any of those playoff games.
Sure.
So, I mean, I know that's a small thing, but,
It's not.
I mean,
But
it
it's
keeps us
actually
competitive,
been
it keeps us
years.
competitive.
Like Windsor's
You
had,
know? Yeah.
nice fields, Grant played on them, so
Yeah.
that's been a long time, like,
Yeah.
even when.
Sorry, that's right.
But you're wanting to stay competitive with the other schools around you, because it goes back to like what you're saying. Do you wanna look at Festus, do you wanna look at DeSoto, or do you wanna look at
Right.
Hillsboro?
So
What
if
do you
I
want your
came
kids?
now, with my kids, like,
Right.
we came in 2009 with our kids, if I came now knowing that all of my kids are athletes and they're gonna play on those fields, I'd be like, I don't know.
Well, we had a baseball meeting not too long ago, and I went home, my son just graduated college, and he played college ball, and I said, man, we had this meeting, and I didn't realize how unsafe those fields are. He goes, Mom, do you know how many balls I literally took to the face in the outfield because they would just bounce and hit? And I'm like, I didn't even know this. So I was like, no,
You just made it look good.
Oh, he did. He made it look real good. He said, it's awful.
Yeah.
He's like, that field, and that was, he graduated 4 years ago,
Sure.
Yeah.
and he even played his senior year, so
Sure.
I was like, oh, I didn't know it was bad.
I was gonna say, her mindset and her thought process is kind of the same for us fine art folks. I know I take students to,
Yeah.
we had honor choir at the Festus Performing Arts Center, and my kids are like, why is this so, like, this is
Yeah.
nothing compared to what we do. And I remember growing up like, oh yeah, this is fine, but now that they're seeing other opportunities, other schools in our area, they're like, oh, why don't we have this? Why?
And I don't think the kids realize it until they go to the other schools, because my daughter's also in band, and we would go do band competitions, and she would be like, holy cow, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's one of the biggest
we're gonna
hurdles that
go
we
back
have.
home.
Yeah.
One of the biggest hurdles that we have in almost any school district that we work with is you're just used to making work what you have, right? This is just what we
Yeah,
have,
absolutely.
right? And you make it work and you do a great job with it. Kids learn, teachers teach, kids play baseball, they don't know any better. It's dreaming big, it's kind of stepping out and be like, if you really meant it, what would it look like, right?
But the thing
If I
now
really
is that
want
they do
this.
know better, because now they're going and they're playing on all this
Right.
turf now.
But our kids deserve it.
And they see it,
need
yeah,
it. I mean,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your perception of why we don't have that? Community perception? Why don't we, we're like,
Well, I've already talked to you about
I
that.
know.
I just
You
think
want
that
that
people
to-
don't, I don't know, like it's, I don't know, like part of me thinks that maybe they didn't pass it last time because they hear first baseball field, and they're like, oh, they don't need that. Or, and then, so then maybe we throw the fine arts in with it, hoping that they'll be like, okay, baseball field and fine arts, okay, all right, let's do that. And then they still don't, so it's just, I think it's money, I mean, it all comes down to money.
It does, but I also think that we've grown a ton. Like, I'm on the board for HYFC, and we are now having to add 2 teams to a 5th grade. We're having to add 2 teams to 2nd and 3rd grade. Like, and baseball is the same way. Like, not only do we have Little League, we have all these select teams. We have the Hawks, we have this new softball one. Like, we're becoming a sports town. Like, not that we weren't, but like, I
But
just
we
think it's.
really kind of are, yeah.
It's huge, like, it's getting, and people are angry, I'm sorry. But not about this, just, I think people are starting to feel like they want it. And I do think, when we tried to do this a long time ago, I don't think it was that way, but I feel like it is. I feel a difference. I don't know what it is, but I do feel like we had that baseball meeting, and I just felt people want it now. The community wants it now.
So do you think educating and pushing out what we need to do?
Oh,
will
absolutely.
help?
And I
Will
think
get
being
people to
honest.
buy in?
Yeah, I think being honest, like today, I got on our Hillsboro baseball page, and I literally copied and pasted what you guys put, and I said, okay, no more complaining, it's time to show up. Like, stop complaining, it's now time to show up and learn, because you can't, I mean, my husband and I are involved in everything our kids do, scouts, baseball, it doesn't matter, we're involved, but now we've got to start telling other people, like, come on, like, don't complain to me about this, let's get going. I don't know.
But I also think it stinks because people don't show up at the polls either. So
Oh, right.
I work in public health and we have our own bond stuff and we have to put it on ballots. And you try to find those ballots where you think people are gonna show up, but then we have less than 10% voter turnout in the entire county.
I do think though that people get confused. People get I mean, I get confused just reading stuff, and I'm like, hold on a minute, like, let me think about this. But I think it's the way things are worded, and I didn't realize that you have to word things a certain way on a ballot. I didn't know that that was a thing, like, you literally have to word it the way they tell you to word it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but that's confusing. If you told me this way, I would understand it. So I do think that, I'm gonna use a term, and it's not politically correct, but dumbing it down. Like, we need to dumb it down. Like, we need to tell them exactly what this is gonna be and what to vote
And
for, or
that's-
what to do.
Yeah, and that's why we're having meetings like tonight.
Yeah.
We'll have more of those
Yeah.
as we go, right?
Yeah.
Because it's, what we're trying to do is, when you go vote, and when you start to see things happen, you shouldn't be surprised at anything. Because you would have already heard about it from our group, right? From the district, whether that's at a Rotary meeting or a community forum like this, or it's on the district website, or whatever. The information will be out there, and we want to make sure that you guys are hearing it loud and clear, and know that we're taking feedback on things that you're
Yeah.
telling us, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
I just think I've been in the district for 4 years now.
Okay.
And I came in as we were introducing the Nest. The Nest, I think, has been a huge contributor to the community getting involved and learning more, and we're constantly learning how to better engage in our communication skills. I put out a survey. I'm the incoming new building principal for the high school.
Okay.
And I put out a survey back in June, and I asked kind of like, what are some things that you would like to see us try to incorporate and grow? And you get comments like, well, you need to be teaching kids how to do their taxes and personal finance. You need to be teaching, how to cook. You need to be teaching them how to do this and that. Well, we already do those things. and so when you showed your survey, as far as like one of our community strengths, a lot of our district and our parents feel like CTE is a very strong thing in our district, and it is. It really is. But our community sees that as an opportunity.
Right.
It's sometimes just getting that word out to the disconnected community members that maybe they were here 20 years ago, but now they've moved on. Their kids have moved on. It's just, I think it's just a conscious effort of communicating, educating, and it'll all come together as it needs to be. But like sometimes it's all these things that we already do some of these things and we do them really well.
Right.
So maybe we just maybe we need to get it out there more to them. Maybe we need to discuss it more.
I agree, and the thing is that the levy vote language that you guys are going to see on the ballot will probably be pretty generic, and it's going to be a lot of legalese that you're required to ask. That's why it's going to be on all of us that are in this room to kind of spread the word, right? If we could double or triple the number of faces that we have in the room at the next community forum, it'd be great, right? This will be posted on social media or whatever later. We need to start to spread the word now, right? And if we can all bring a friend or all tell a friend and just make sure people know, like, this is what they're talking about, this is what they want to do with these additional funds, and these are the things that the community needs. Like, we need them to keep our school district and our community up there with, other districts in or other schools in our district and things like that. So we need you guys to help us spread the word, so.
It's also selling it to the people that don't have kids in the school anymore. A lot of times they don't care. Once their kids are out, all they see it is
And they're
insurance.
the only ones who show up to vote.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So those are the people you really want to push on, is emphasizing how this is going to benefit them. Not just, they see it as it just benefits the students.
Yeah.
You need to push that the community is going to get a lot out of this also. That's the tough part. That's the sell.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great comments. What else would you like to see some changes made, potentially? What?
I hate the pickup at the intermediate.
Yeah.
With every fiber of my being.
Drop off and pick up
I don't have
is
to do
always a
anymore.
big
I
win.
would say that's for probably every building
I
in
was
the
gonna
high
say,
school.
I think we've got
Now,
that
coming out of
on
high school,
all
all
of
of
the
them also.
facilities. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If we could just get the people to junior high to move up, like, come on, move up.
Well, and I think a big issue are sidewalks for the kids to get from building to building.
Yeah.
Like, you leave the high school, it's chaos. The junior high, there's chaos. There's kids walking the road, there's people coming on the turn, like, they just don't have anywhere safe.
Sure.
Like, we go to Casey's with some of the classes we awards, there's no sidewalks to get in there.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for them to go safely.
Yeah.
And it creates even more, parents aren't paying attention in line, kids are walking all over. And I know maintenance, security's there trying to help, but
Sure.
sidewalks would be great for kids.
So,
And for like football games, you could park here and walk over to the high school and watch. You could park at the farm. I mean, so many opportunities to be able to spread out the traffic.
Yeah, good comment. I want to be conscious of time. We have about 2 minutes left. So the last thing is, what are some historical things? What are things that, when we start to do this master plan, when we start to think about additions, renovations, fixes, roads, those kind of things, what do you not want to see change? What are some of those things that are sacred to your community? Things like, if we're going to do an addition at the high school, thou shalt not build here because of, right? Whatever that might be. So yes.
I've lived here since 1975. Don't lose the farm. Don't change
Absolutely.
the farm. It's a classic part of Hillsboro.
Yeah.
It's been here before, when I was a little kid and came down here in the 60s. And that farm was kind of the symbol of Hillsboro.
Yeah.
And now they fixed it it's even nicer.
Right.
You know, because now there's life back over there again.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I wouldn't want to see that changed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else? Are there historic things in the buildings or around the buildings, or anything that you guys can think of that you know, when we are working on a site, like, we need to make sure we preserve these things? The looks of the buildings, whatever that might be, right? Is there anything that comes to mind to this group?
I love the new mural at the high school on the outside
On the side of the
wall.
gym, yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice.
It'd be cool to have that.
A lot of seniors get their pictures taken there
Yeah.
and have that in the background.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to leave us the hub. Like, I feel like we're the center of Hillsboro. Like, I know everybody says usually small towns, it's the courthouse and stuff down there.
Sure.
But I feel like right here where we have that T and that stoplight right
Mhm.
there, I feel like we are kind of the center of Hillsboro. Like, we've got to leave us here and come in from all different
Yeah.
directions. Like,
Yeah, goes out to what Doc was saying in terms of, you know, we have
Spread
the
this
ability
too
to
far
spread out,
out,
but
or-
spreading
yeah.
out isn't always the best.
we have to
idea.
stay here like how we are,
Right.
because this is where everybody comes to.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else? Okay. That's about it for tonight. So, coming up, we are going to be on, it's a 5-step process that we do. We're going into steps 3 and 4. 3 is prioritization. 4 is starting to add costs and explore what those options could be for just what we talked about, the budgets, the timelines, that full master plan of making sure that we're thinking, you know, years into the future, so we're not building things over things that we just did and spending good money after bad. And then we're going to continue to gather the feedback, so please make sure people know that the surveys are out there. We'll continue to work with the administration of the school board. We actually have some work sessions and some meetings with them later this week that we're going to complete. And then we will be in touch about the next community forum. We do want to have another one of these in August, maybe right after school kind of get started and all the parents kind of get settled in. Teachers, you got your classrooms in order and things like that. I know that is a stressful time. But once we kind of get that settled in, we would love to come back and have at least 1 or 2 more of these as we go. So please, you know, spread the word. Try to get that softball group here, right? Baseball group, right? So we ask you guys to help us start to spread the word, start to understand that, help people understand that we are taking the feedback. You're going to see the meaningful action on the feedback that we're given. That was kind of the start tonight. That's why we're here. And then we want to show you the plan of what this could be and what it could mean. So we appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Thank you for all the comments and the thoughts. We appreciate it. That's how we get the information to move this thing forward. So you guys are a vital piece to the information. So thank you again. And like I said before, we're going to stick around for a little bit. So if you want to come up and have a one-on-one conversation, we welcome that too. So.
You have next community meeting to be determined, but there's a date on here of Thursday, August 27th.
Yeah, and I think that's correct. We just haven't necessarily vetted that out 100% yet. So, yeah.
So would that be where, like, would we need to return, or is that
Yes.
something where you need new people?
Well, no, I would love you all to come back
More.
and then bring a friend.
Bring some people.
Yeah, so
bring a friend.
you guys come back, because you're gonna see different information, right? So like the
Okay.
comment of, if
Sorry.
we start to get a bunch of community comments, could these things change a little bit?
Okay.
Absolutely. So we wanna keep you updated in the process as we go. Again, if you come one time and you get great information, and you're happy and you're gonna go vote yes, absolutely, that's fine. But know that some things could change as we move along. And this could change quite a bit before we kind of adopt that final plan in September, October, and before it goes to the ballot, right? So there could be some changes, so we would love to see you at every single one of these. Absolutely.
Ice cream social.
Let's do it.
I'll help you got it.
But like you said, those parents, they show up for Little League, for all that. They need to be doing it now, so when those kids do get up to high school, they have the facilities.
Well,
And
even
those are the
having-
parents that are vocal about it.
Yeah, even having, Milo's 10, my youngest is 10, my oldest is 26. But like, I'm even thinking like grandkids, like, you know what, I mean, seriously, like,
Yeah.
it needs to be talked about and done.
Yeah. Well, if this is a 10-year plan, think a
Hey,
second grader
you're
will be a
right.
senior by the time we're done.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's a 10-year plan, a second grader will be a senior by the time this is done. So it will go fast, right? Kids that aren't even thought of, people that aren't even married yet, we could still be doing things for their child as they come through the school district, right? So this is truly about what we have now and the future. So, yeah.
And it's two different thoughts, is please, one of the things that's potentially gonna come up, especially as the nest goes up, is like, as we talked about, we're condensing a year-long process into 12 weeks. And the why, you hit on it, is I think it's vitally important to the community that we take it to the community in November. It's a general election. It's going to have that turnout versus the April. A lot of times people complain, oh, it's a small, that's the why. It's not trying to push any, we want to put it in front of the most.
We went 12% instead of less than 10.
And find, if people, as they talk about the nest, if people are like, have questions, or the most negative people need to be here.
That's what I said,
Yes.
stop
The
complaining
most
and show up.
negative
Yeah, you can't act like you got hit by a bus.
We need to get them here because I have, you know, I think a lot of times it's information, not as opposed to it. It's just, all right, because we do great things in our school district. It's just sharing information. Thank you all for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Spread the word, and we'll see you, I guess, August 27th.